of shadows.
Hi Angels, it's Haley Reese and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you, whenever this video finally reaches you. First and foremost, I have to start off by saying Happy New Year. I am so excited to see what 2023 brings. My end of 2022 was not great, had some health stuff going on, and managed to chip a tooth, but optimistic for the new year nonetheless, and I am so very excited to be back. Today's video is one that I am so excited to share with you guys because it is absolutely chilling, and I'm very curious to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on it. We are going to be diving into yet another dark web horror story or dark web encounter gone wrong. This one, I skimmed it. It looks like it's absolutely insane, and I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So without further ado, sit back, relax, maybe turn a light on, and let's get into a dark web horror story. The story I'm about to share with you is an experience I have tried to bury for years. After the fear and trauma, embarrassment was a close third for how I was feeling. I still can't believe I was a grown man who was so naive. And beyond that, I can't believe I almost lost my life because I was so naive. I'm pretty sure at some point or another, we've all searched something that we shouldn't have on the internet. Some of us have maybe searched things that were inappropriate, others maybe scary videos. I mean, the list goes on and on. But searching things you shouldn't on what most of us know to be the internet is very different than when done on the dark web. And I am living proof of that. At the time, I was in my mid-30s working in the beautiful city of Manhattan. It was busy, and I had to take the subway to work every single day, which was a pain, but I had a really, really good job that I worked extremely hard for and loved doing what I did. We dealt with high-profile clients, which meant a lot of contracts and confidentiality, but I was good at what I did. At this point in my life, I had a lot going for me. The only struggle was my current health issues that I was experiencing. Nobody at my job knew though, because if they knew the amount of procedures I had coming up, they would definitely worry about my performance. That couldn't happen because I was on the verge of receiving a very big promotion, and I had faith that the doctors would help me get a better life and everything would only continue to get better. But despite living in a beautiful apartment in New York City and a pending massive promotion, I was lonely. When I wasn't working or spending time with my doctors, I was always by myself and bored. One night of said boredom would change my entire life. I enjoyed a good conspiracy. I mean, who doesn't? I loved the idea that there's so much more to this world of ours than we may know next to nothing. And so on this night, down the rabbit hole I went, eventually leading me to the iceberg of the internet. I needed to know more about the dark web. I spent hours researching what it was all about and anything I could find, how I could get there, and next thing I knew, I was hooked. Downloading Tor and deciding I was gonna see what the dark web really has to offer. I know what you're probably thinking though. If you searched about it, why would you wanna find it? Didn't you see how disturbing it could be? You see, that's why the embarrassment lives on. Because I was so naive to think that those types of things were meant to scare people into not diving onto the dark web. I didn't think it was that serious or even that common. Again, dumb. I spent a lot of time searching the dark web. Initially, I did find some strange things, but nothing like the horrors that I'd read about. I felt like I was in the dark web, but I was only seeing the surface level of it. I would search how to go deeper, but really didn't find anything too mind-blowing. I remember the day it all changed like yesterday though. I was sitting in a coffee shop right by my work when I saw an interesting looking forum. For those who crave the darkness. I thought it sounded kind of cheesy and almost didn't click it, but a little voice in my head reminded me that that is exactly what I've been asking for. So while I didn't believe I was clicking anything actually scary or dangerous, I had time to waste and thought I'd mess around a bit. When I clicked the link though, it wasn't what I was expecting. In the center of a red screen was a pop-up. Once you click, there's no going back, it read. I paused for a second. What does that even mean? I specifically remember that I looked around the coffee shop and was surrounded by many suits and ties, everyone so serious. It reminded me how serious my life was and how little excitement I had in it. I still didn't think it was anything to worry about, but opted to add some excitement in my life. Click. I was in what looked to be a chat room of sorts, only you couldn't see who was participating and no one seemed to be talking. I remember it asked me to create a username. I made a pretty random one because while I was looking for excitement, I didn't want anyone to actually know who I was. I wasn't particularly worried about that though, as the work I did was very confidential, and both our work and personal devices were very protected. I still didn't think anything could go wrong, honestly. Welcome popped up on the screen, following with my username. I hesitated for almost a moment before asking who I was talking to. Almost immediately, whoever it was responded. It was so fast, I wondered if it was nothing but a bot. The Ripper, it responded. I remember thinking that was an interesting choice of nickname, but decided to ask what the chat was that I was in and if anyone else was expected to pop in. The Ripper went on to tell me that it was just the two of us for now, that the last guy who had clicked had graduated already. The weirdest part was that I barely even questioned what graduation would be, and if I even wanted to graduate. I had just accepted his answer that it was a fun little game we'd like to play, as that's what he told me. So do you want to play? The Ripper asked me. Sure, why not? It can't be sure, the Ripper typed. It's yes or no. I hesitated because now I thought this guy was a total weirdo, but I figured I had nothing to lose, so clicked the red pop-up, saying yes. My screen completely started glitching with browsers and pages opening and closing until I was just staring at my home screen. What the hell was that? I actually said out loud. At this point, I was over it and figured it was just another pointless part of the internet and nothing more than that. I was about to close my laptop and head out when another chat popped up. This chat too was red. There he was again, the Ripper. Pick your player, he wrote. All of a sudden, images of all kinds of people with descriptions started popping up. The descriptions detailed their hometown, age, ethnicity, weaknesses, everything you could think of. What am I choosing them for? I asked. You pick one to go up against me. At this point, things were feeling weird to me. The pictures seemed real. I knew they were real, but it seemed raw. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, I typed. Let's go with the first girl. Everything next is still such a blur. I remember him saying something about it being a good choice and the screen disappearing again. But this time, a video popped up next, looking almost like a FaceTime where you couldn't see yourself too. The room was hard to make out. It was red and dark, but the person on the screen had a mask. Now we play, it said out loud. I was so confused until the screen turned to a girl. The girl I had chosen was on video, tied up and kicking. I panicked. Surely it wasn't real, but I wanted nothing to do with it. I did not like the turn it was taking. I freaked out with my computer and slammed it shut, literally knocking my coffee on the floor. I sat there catching my breath for a moment, but everything was spinning in my head. People were staring at me and giving me weird looks. I decided to open back up my computer the minute that I had calmed down and look again, because surely this was just a game. When I opened it, my computer was clear. It was clear that my system had been entirely tampered with. Everything was wiped. I immediately rushed to the local police to share how effed up my experience was. I told them about the girl, gave them my computer, and freaked out. They assured me it was likely just a prank and that I should leave my computer there, but they didn't seem worried. I started feeling a little better and calmed back down when the most disturbing text lit up on my phone. That was a very big mistake on your part. My stomach sunk. I tried to call the number, but it didn't exist. My phone became flooded with images of me inside of the coffee shop and me outside of the police station. I was terrified but didn't know what to do. I wanted to run back into the police station but was too terrified to. I no longer thought this was a joke. I decided that maybe if I moved on with my life, whoever this was would move on and I could just forget what I'd seen. I was wrong, because this was actually the start of my nightmare. The next day when I went into work, my boss called me into his office. He'd received an anonymous email detailing my private and confidential health records. I had called my doctor, and there was no explanation as to how anyone would know the status of my health outside of the medical staff or somebody that I would have told. But I knew I hadn't told anyone who knew to contact my boss. I became paranoid. Luckily, I hadn't lost my job, but going into work every day was full of paranoia. I felt watched everywhere I went. The pictures haunted me. I didn't know who or what I was even running from. They knew my real name, where I worked, my medical records. I was living in a busy city where any one of them could be watching me. Every time the doorbell rang or there was a knock on the door, I kept thinking someone was gonna be there. I started getting random phone calls with just breathing on the other end. But one night, I would receive a series of letters slid under my door. It had my family's names and everything about my life typed out. And at the very bottom, next to it all, it said, "You chose to play," with the name of someone I didn't know. I grabbed my phone and searched that name. It was a missing girl, who looked kind of like the one I thought I had seen, but I couldn't be certain. It was dark and I'd closed it quick. The police never found anything on my laptop and I stopped talking about it. I quit my job, stayed in a hotel until I could find another place to move, and I moved. I was tired of running for my life every single day, even though I'm certain they could still find me wherever I went. The stalking stopped, and I've tried to convince myself that it was just some hacker who wanted to mess with me and scare me. They never did find that girl, though. I will never go on the dark web again as long as I live. Turns out, when you go looking for darkness, you're likely to find it. Even if it was all just an attempt to scare or ruin someone's life and the girl was in on the prank and not the missing girl in the poster, it did that to mine. It scared me, and it ruined my life. Never go on the dark web, and especially be wary of games with strangers online. It's not all just Hollywood or creepy stories on the internet. It's real. And that's the end of the experience. I think we all know what that could have been or what they were portraying it to be. Essentially, I'm assuming he chose a victim for the Ripper and he was supposed to watch something. I've heard a lot of that on the dark web of people coming into chat rooms or video calls and actually seeing dark, disturbing things occurring. I do think it is possible that it could have just been a hacker who was pulling a prank on someone, but why be on the dark web to do that when that's a space people really go looking for it? Do you guys think it's just a made-up creepy story, or do you believe that this person ended up on the dark web and ended up having to change their entire life afterwards? Like quitting their job, moving across the country or wherever, all because this person was hounding them down after. What do you guys think? Definitely let me know all of your theories down in the comment section below. Would you ever check out the dark web? Let me know that down below too. Before I end off today's video though, I do just want to say that I have some really exciting content planned for this year. Some big cases, big videos, but I do want to know what you want to see from me this year, so definitely let me know any video suggestions or the type of content that you like from me. With that being said, if you are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my content, I'd love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you. Bye guys.